Yeah, g'day guys, it's Wayne here. What I'm going to do right now is just tell you a little bit about my glaucoma and how I got diagnosed and how I've coped. Whether it's good or bad, but at least how I've coped as a way to help maybe someone else out there who's been diagnosed or is coping with some sort of loss. So, look, I thought everything was fine. I went in to see the optician and they diagnosed me with early onset severe glaucoma. So straight away I found out I couldn't drive. I then, as I realised the things I couldn't see, a lot of things instantly became much more difficult because my mind had been compensating. So I walked in feeling okay. I walked out, feeling virtually blind. But they put me on some drops, and the pressures in my eyes were 55, which is really, really high. So the drops have brought that back, and now I'm sitting at around about the 15 to 16. So if you've had glaucoma or you've got it, you know what that means. That's a big reduction and a good result. And it's only been 2.5 months, so I've still got a lot of uncertainty in front of me. I don't know where it's going to head. As the specialist said to me, there's the glaucoma, and then there's what I've got, which is glaucoma. So we've got to wait and see. I've lost a huge amount of vision. And just a couple of things. One, I've got a big spot in front of me that I can't see, and I'm actually just going to pop a thing here up on the beside me, just so you can see my glaucoma tests, and that'll give you an idea. They don't tell the whole story, but it'll give you an idea of the vision that I've lost. So the black is obviously what I can't see, the white is what I can see, and there's a lot of grey in there where it's gone a bit. So it looks pretty rugged, but it's probably not as bad actually as it looks, if you know what I mean. So I've lost a lot of that, and one of the things that I've probably found a real struggle with it is actually the way light now impacts on me. And if you have it or get diagnosed with some of this, you're going to find that too, I guess. There is times when I can walk down to work in the morning, or I can be in the right situation, and I still think to myself, shivers, is there actually anything wrong with me? Now I can't see anymore, but my sight seems good, like it did before I got diagnosed. But a lot of the time now, when I'm trying to do something and the light's just the wrong way, or there's fluorescent lights that play up, or for whatever reason, there's sometimes I'm virtually blind. For instance, our band played the other night, and I was trying to look at my tablet just to check the chords and the words, and the light was behind, and I just couldn't see it. If I come out of a light room into anywhere darker, I just about can't see. And there's just so many things now where I'm really struggling to get around. It doesn't mean I've got worse, it just means that the light impacts on things. And how I'd explain that to people, a lot of people say, what is that like? It's like if you've ever been driving in a car and the windscreen's a bit dirty and the sun hits the windscreen at an angle and you really struggle to see. It's kind of a bit like that for me. And so that's that's pretty difficult to get around. But look, if you've been diagnosed, you'll go through a bit of shock. I went through a lot of shock, and I just want to talk a little bit, just a couple of things briefly about what I did. So, you go to see the specialist, and he says it's never good when your optician or specialist says or oh, and then calls someone else over. You know that's not a good result, and your life's probably changing. But so that happened. So, a lot of it is when he told me that, if you hadn't come in, you might have only had 3 months of sight left. That's a lot to take in. So what I did, how I coped initially in the first few days, and this is from a guy, Roy, who has passed away now, but was a big impact on my life. He always used to say to me, listen, Perky, what's the worst that could happen? There's an earthquake, the building falls down and kills us all, he'd say. Okay, that's the worst that could happen, let's work back from there. So I did that with this. I stared into the abyss, pardon the pun, of what it would be like being completely blind, to see if I could handle it, and to see what it would be like. And I actually, the very next day I rang the Blind Foundation and I spoke to someone who was blind and I told them the situation, and I asked what life was like, what would my life be like if I was totally blind. And it was scary, but he told me a lot of things that, and he said, look, you cope, and there's a lot of technology, a lot of things around. So, I was really, really scared, but I guess I looked at that as the worst case scenario and to see if I could handle it. And, I don't know if I thought I could handle it or not, because I was basically just living in complete and utter fear. I was absolutely terrified, virtually unable to function in some ways. When I especially at that stage, we didn't know if the pressures were going to come down. We didn't know if I was going to be blind in 3 months. So that was really, really stressful. But that's how I coped with that part. I looked into that and I thought, okay, blind in 3 months, so that was going to be like blind before Christmas. Okay, let's see if we can work back from there. And of course, it's probably likely I'm going blind. But we just don't know enough information yet to know of when or that sort of thing. But it's definitely going to be longer than 3 months. So so that's good. That's a better scenario than what I looked at the start. I did a lot of walking as my way of coping. I did a lot of walking and just to relieve stress. I found it very hard just to sit down and be calm. So I think sometimes your body tells you what you need to do to survive, stuff like that. So I got out and walked, and especially the first week, I probably dropped 4 or 5 kilos, and I would have walked for at least 3 hours a day. And by the end of every walk, I would feel slightly more able to cope. But that's how I cope with it there. And what I did is looked for anything that I thought might help me. I straight away downloaded some audio books just to see what it was like, and found that I really enjoyed it, and that I actually it's now become a really great joy of mine, a great passion of mine, is listening to audiobooks. And I can still read, it's not as easy, but I can still read, but it's a lot harder, so it's not as fluid or as easy as it is. So I've found a lot of stuff there, and I basically, the one thing I wanted to do, and this is especially right at the start, is because what you're doing is you're looking for control. You're just looking for some control, because you've had all this taken off you, you've had all this control taken from you. What am I going to do to survive? What am I going to do? So there was a few things, and I wrote them up on a whiteboard. And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to see, make sure that this didn't impact on my kids as much. I can remember as a young guy, and I won't go into the details, but my dad wasn't particularly well at one stage, and I found that really scary as a young kid, to hear what he was like and the things he was saying. And I've never forgotten that, and I didn't want that for my kids. And so trust me, I had some moments. There was a couple of times I just sat down and bawled my eyes out, but I made sure I was away from everyone, not particularly because I was embarrassed, although I probably was a little bit, but more so that no one else needed to worry. So at my worst times I was by myself, and I let the people I love the most see me at my best times. And that's just the way to control something. I could control the fact that no matter what was happening to me, my kids, the impact on them would be minimised. They wouldn't see their old man really scared. So that for me that was a really healthy thing for me to do, because it gave me some control back. It made me feel like, okay, things are bad, but I'm doing something, and that might not be a big thing, but it's an important thing. I'm doing something there for my family that is going to minimise the impact on them. So that's something I did, and I really clung to that, and I think it's one of the better things I did, because one, it was good for them. They didn't need to get panicky about it. There's only sense in one of us panicking, and two, it gave me a sense of something good coming out of it, And I'm not going to go too much into it. Just one other thing I want to say is that we all cope in different ways, and I don't think there is a right way or a wrong way to cope. But I basically searched a lot on Google, not about my glaucoma. I was too scared to. I didn't want to know, because especially at this stage we thought I could be blind, and I didn't want to know, and Google can throw up a lot of rubbish. So I just searched for coping with loss, how to handle things, and I did a lot of searching and listened to a lot of people around that. And that's going to be a story of another blog, and that's actually something that has had a huge impact on my life in the last 2 months, and it's been really, really good. So one of the things that Tony Robbins, who's one of the great speakers there, put him into Google, you'll find him. He says something when I looked for coping with loss, and one of his videos came up on YouTube, so I had a look at that, and he said a lot of good things, and some of the things I took on board. But one of the things he said is guard your mind, because the terror can run away with you, and the sense of loss, and the sense of despair, and that can become overwhelming. So he said guard your mind, and that stuck with me, because I follow, perhaps badly, but I follow the Christian faith to quite a degree. And so when something like that makes sense with the way I see the faith, it sort of backs up things for me, and that was very close to what I saw in a lot of the great religions, about guarding your mind. And so what I basically tried to do, I decided this was a mind game. It really had very little to do with my eyes. This battle would be won and lost in my mind, or in my own self. So I guarded. So when I had those thoughts, and they were many, I started to work on strategies to combat them or eliminate them, not disbelieve them. I knew things were bad, and I know things are bad, but it didn't mean it wasn't all bad. The result of going blind, that's not everything that defines you. So I guarded my mind against a lot of that stuff, and I tried to fill it up with positive stuff and stay positive. And I decided as well to look for, is there something good that can come out of this? And that's why I'm going to be doing these videos about what I think is basically coping with losses, because you can handle anything if you can make sense of it, and you think there's a point. And I remember thinking right at the start, man, if this happens, I wonder how I might be able to help some other people go through this, or maybe there's some lessons we can learn, or even if I go through it with a bit of dignity, or at least pretend I've got some dignity, or at least if I pretend that I'm handling it well, that might really help some other people. And in that way, it's taking something that's really, really bad. I'm not mitigating it. It sucks. It sucks, man. The fact that there's so much stuff I can't do anymore, but it helps to make sense of it, that maybe there's something good that can come out of it. So that's why this video. Now I've just rambled on, and this is really just to try things, but there's a little bit how I coped at the start. I've got a lot of stuff I want to bring out on this this video series about glaucoma that hopefully will help. But yeah, so look, if you've liked it, maybe look at a few other ones, or flick into my website. And if you don't like it, more power to you, and delete it. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening. Cheers.